Your dollar will be worth just as much tomorrow as it is today.
Let me tell you a little story that might actually get me in trouble. But before that, I want you to remember 4 numbers for me. 1933, 1934, 1944, and 1971. Don't like, don't subscribe, just watch the video. In 1933, there is an executive order signed by President Franklin Roosevelt that basically said that it was illegal to hold gold. So they took everybody's gold and gave them $20.67 for every ounce. And if you did not comply, you could be charged $10,000 or 10 years in prison. If it was illegal, why did they pay you for it? Then the following year, in 1934, we had the Gold Reserve Act. Basically, all the gold were given to the US Treasury, and the US Treasury officials were able to reprice the gold from $20 to $35 per ounce. Imagine if you had the power to be like, give me all your stuff. And then a year later, everything that was stolen was up 75%.
Emotional, damn it!
Then in 1944, we had the Bretton Woods system. This is where 44 countries came together to create the World Bank. And the US decided that it's going to hold all the world's gold, and in exchange, everyone will be using the US dollar as a currency. Remember, they've been taking everybody's gold for the past 10 years. So they had a lot of gold. They were basically telling you to give up your gold assets to use this piece of paper instead. Then in 1971, countries started to question the system, and it fell apart because the dollar was overvalued, the amount of US dollar exceeded the amount of US gold stock, and inflation was creeping up in America because we were printing money to fund for the Vietnam War. So Germany was the first country to leave the Bretton Woods system in May 1971. Then Switzerland said, they redeemed $50 million in July 1971. Then France said, what the f-? And apparently, President George Pompidou sent a battleship to New York and took $191 million worth of gold on August 5th, 1971.
Got him!
Then on August 15th, 1971, we had one of the most important presidential speech that has been affecting America's economy, but nobody's talking about it.
The strength of a nation's currency is based on the strength of that nation's economy. And the American economy is by far the strongest in the world. Accordingly, I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculator. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States. Your dollar will be worth just as much tomorrow as it is today. The effect of this action, in other words, will be to stabilize the dollar.
History was always boring to me until I found something that I was passionate about. Money. The president really thought he was doing the right thing back then. But that gave America permission to print money whenever they needed, because that money was no longer backed by gold. And that became a disease that is growing like a pandemic in America. And this disease, my friend, is called inflation. And the only way to fight this disease is to take a medication called investing. This is not financial advice. This is nursing advice. The average inflation rate over the past 50 years has been about 3 to 4%. So if your money is not making more than that every year, you are $100,000 back in 1970 was worth over $780,000. That means that if your grandpa was sitting on that cash for 50 years, that money would have been... We've been printing money like crazy. This chart right here represents currency in circulation. And as you can see, after 1971, we went to work. Let's think about this. Because Apple makes new iPhones every single year, when you want to sell your iPhone, you get less money for it, right? Because there are so many of them and it becomes less valuable. Same with a car. When you want to sell your car, because they make them every single year, you get less money for it, because it becomes less valuable. What do you think is happening to your money? You are working 40 hours every single week for something that is losing value over time. So it is your job to put that money into something that can beat inflation, whether it's stocks, real estate, your own business, anything that has the potential to grow faster than inflation. When I make videos about telling you to invest, I'm not telling you that because that's what the cool kids are doing. If your money is not in an account that is earning 3 to 4% every single year, it's not a savings account. It's a shredding account. Oh, I need that. You have no other option but to invest. There is no need for you to not know this information. And yeah, people say investing is risky. I've lost money investing, and you probably will too. You cannot expect to bite for the first time and not fall once or twice. But I learned from my investing mistakes, and now I make better investment choices. Because if you don't take the risk to invest, you risk losing all your money. And don't just take my words for it. I want you guys to go do your own research. And once you understand and believe everything that I just talked about, share this video with somebody that you care about so that they understand how important it is to invest.